what if the most terrifying thing about a monster isn't what it does to you? What if it's the fact that it waited, that it had been there in the dark, long before you ever arrived, and it already knew your name? Tonight we have 3 accounts, 3 separate people, 3 completely different locations, and one detail they all share that no one can explain. Stay with us. There's a particular kind of fear that doesn't arrive with a scream. It doesn't announce itself. It settles in slowly, the way cold air does when a window has been left open in the middle of the night. You don't notice it until you're already shivering. The 3 accounts you're about to hear didn't come from horror films or campfire legends. They came from ordinary people, living ordinary lives, in ordinary places, until one moment cracked everything open and something else stepped through. Marcus had been hiking alone for 2 days when it started. He was experienced. 10 years of solo trails across the Pacific Northwest. He knew the difference between the sounds a forest makes when it's alive and the sounds it makes when something inside it is paying attention to you. The first sign was the silence. Not the comfortable quiet of an empty trail, but a vacuum. Birds gone, wind gone, even the ambient hiss of the nearby creek, somehow swallowed whole. Marcus noted it in his journal. 11:40 a.m. Everything stopped. Not sure why. The second sign came that evening. He'd made camp about a quarter mile off the main trail, near a natural clearing he'd used before. Setting up his tent, he noticed the tree line to the north, specifically a gap between 2 large Douglas firs where the darkness seemed denser than it should have been, heavier. He told himself it was the angle of the fading light. He cooked. He ate, he wrote in his journal. And the whole time he didn't look north again. Not because he forgot, because some quiet, ancient part of his brain was telling him very clearly, don't. What Marcus saw when he finally did look, and why he hasn't been back to that forest since, is the part of this story that keeps people up at night. At 2:17 a.m., Marcus woke to the sound of something exhaling outside his tent. Not an animal sniff, not the grunt of a bear or the shuffle of a deer. A long, slow, deliberate exhale, the kind a person makes when they've been holding their breath and finally decide to let it go. He lay completely still, eyes open in the dark, listening. It moved. Whatever it was, it circled the tent, slowly, unhurried, as if it had nowhere else to be. He could hear the weight of it on the dry ground. Not 4 points of contact. 2. Marcus reached for his flashlight.
Who's there?
He told himself later that he doesn't know why he unzipped the tent. Every rational thought he had told him not to, but he did. The clearing was empty, except at the northern tree line in that same gap between the 2 firs. Something stood, tall, too tall. The shape of a man, but assembled wrong, like the proportions had been decided by something that had only ever heard a human described, never seen one. Long arms, a head that sat too far forward on its neck, and eyes, 2 faint points of pale light that didn't reflect his flashlight beam. They produced their own light. It didn't move. It didn't run. It just watched. Marcus zipped the tent closed, sat with his back against the far wall, and did not sleep again. When dawn came, he packed in under 4 minutes and walked out of those woods in a dead straight line without once looking back. He's never returned. When Marcus reached the trailhead parking lot, another hiker was just arriving for an early morning start. Marcus told the man what had happened. The man listened carefully, nodded once, and then said something Marcus wasn't prepared for. "You're the 3rd person this season. No park authority had issued warnings. No reports had been filed publicly. But among the regulars who used that trail system, there was a quiet, unspoken agreement. You didn't camp in the northern clearings. You didn't look at the tree line after dark. And you absolutely did not acknowledge whatever it was that sometimes stood between those two firs and watched. Marcus filed an account with a local wilderness forum that night. Within 48 hours, the thread had been viewed over 11,000 times. Within 72, it had been deleted. No explanation was given. Subscribe for part 2.